What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Blazed and Confused, the podcast where curiosity is high, confidence is questionable, and logic usually shows up late. As always, I'm Max.
And I'm Noah.
So this week, we've got some, something that's a little bit different than the conspiracies. Still has some around it, but, a lot of this one is just, my second favorite thing. Weird history of these giant statues we used to have. Like, we used to have statues that people still to this day are like, couldn't build it. But these statues that do last or that have evidence of having been there, this is something that Noah and I have kind of sent back and forth to each other that has just piqued our interest. So instead of conspiracies and spooky things, it's another weird history one.
Well, I mean, it kind of ties in somewhat to like some of the wonders of the world, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it always does. Because
Well, yeah.
the biggest one that I don't understand is these gardens and libraries that just, for whatever reason, even as an enemy, just said, fuck it, burn it. I mean, same thing happened with a lot of these statues. During wars, other invading countries or the defending country would rip these things down. And I don't know how the hell they built them. I mean, I have my speculation, aliens, but how they built these by themselves, because it's crazy. But with that being said, as always, I give the history first and kind of get you up to date. So every one of these we're going to do kind of in chronological order, now give or take a couple of them. The accuracy is not 100%, but we're going to start with the obvious big one, the Great Sphinx of Giza. If you don't remember what this looks like, yes, you do. Just picture Egypt, and you're not looking at the pyramids. It's the other thing you've always seen. Half human, half cat kind of sculpture that's half buried and destroyed. It was built in 2550 BCE, obviously in Giza, Egypt. Its estimated construction dates is from 2558 to 2532. So not a very long turnaround on this one. But let me go ahead and give you the measurements so you can kind of put this in your head. It was 60 feet tall, 20 meters if you don't speak American, 240 feet long, or 73 meters, and it's made out of limestone. Now, limestone's not a light material, so a lot of people are still like, man, this is astounding that it's been built, one, and two, that it lasted all this time, because you and I know quite a bit about limestone. It's not like the hardest
All the bad
rock.
parts.
Yeah, right. It's only the bad. But it's not like a super hard rock, but at the same time it is. It's not marble or granite, but it's better than, pea gravel or like soapstone. So, I mean, it's crazy how big this is. When you hear 66 feet, you're like, that can't be that big. Bullshit. It is extremely tall.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you may not think 60 feet's tall until you get into like an aerial lift. Like I do construction, I do glass. So we'll get into big boom lifts, and 60 feet you don't think's tall, and then you take a 60-footer and you take it straight up. You look down and you're like, wow, you're
yeah,
kind of up here. Like
everybody's an ant.
been in bigger lifts, 80, 100, 120 footers, and taking them way up, and you're like, oh wow, this is super tall. But you don't think
I'm
nothing
good
to
on
60 feet till you're up and at 60 feet, and you're like, this is actually pretty tall. So yeah, like Max said, you may not think 60 feet's much, just number wise. That thing's tall.
Yeah. And that's not even, we're not talking about these to be like, oh well, do you think humans built them? No, we're just mainly talking about these because it's crazy. These happened. This is literally over 4,000 years ago. Somebody's building these statues that have lasted 4,000 years, almost completely intact. You know, obviously erosion and stuff, but it's crazy that these things were built and we're not building them today. Like to me, I would think like we want to, you know, we want to flex our muscles to Canada. Let's go back to doing what the Moai tribe did. Let's just build a bunch of statues going around our country, like big ones. Make it to where planes got to fly through like their arms or whatever. But
So
we don't do that.
I'm gonna go back just a little bit because I'm stuck on this whole 60-foot thing for people.
Mm-hmm.
For comparison, just to give everybody an idea of 60-foot height, the Hollywood letters, the big Hollywood sign.
Yeah, the one that you can see from miles away.
Yeah, those are only 45 feet tall.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when you read 66 feet or even 20 meters, you're like, that's not that. That's not that crazy. Like Shaq's 6 foot, 10 Shaqs. I can see it. Bullshit. This is, I mean, this is crazy height. And this is only the first one. I think they get bigger. I mean, yeah, they definitely get bigger as we go on. I mean, we've got some in here that go up to 70, 80 feet, 100, 112 feet. Like my favorite one is the Colossus, which is the biggest. And that's the one I want to, that made me want to do this episode. But yeah, there's all kinds of crazy statues that have been built. And I don't know why we don't build them to this day. So back to this. Um, so it's a giant sphinx, which is an Egyptian deity or like godlike depiction. And you might be thinking, well, why'd they build these giant things? Well, it was part of Caffrey's funerary complex, and it was a representation of their royal power of where they lived. Um, so, you know, nothing happened to this one per se, but it was buried underneath sand. I would like to think it sunk more than it, you know, got buried. But that happened because if I believe that it got buried, how much more of the pyramids do we not see? And it's
So what, you think the pyramid is just like the tip of it? You think it
I don't
goes
know,
way, way
dude.
down?
I mean, you got to think why would they build a sphinx that sits on sand? Like you and I have built shit. Could you imagine building with rocks on sand for 7 years? Just the people walking around its feet would
Man,
eventually.
I still can't comprehend just making a big human cat statue,
Yeah, no.
you
It is
know?
crazy. Yeah.
Like,
And then to think, like I said,
you made
4,000 years,
these,
it's still sitting there.
not only that, you made these huge pyramids that, I mean, used them for energy, used them for whatever purpose they had.
Yep.
They were massive. How they got built,
Yep.
questionable. Very questionable. No way that it was just regular humans that did this. I don't care
Well,
what type of
people say that,
engineering
but
that.
there's no
No.
way that we can accurately test that even because even if they had like their numbers of slaves that they had working at this point in time or even just the peasant population that were slaves without being considered slaves, could you imagine getting that many people together today to test this? I don't think there'd be enough people that would be like, yeah, no, I'll come all the way to Egypt. I'll risk, sandstorms and all these terrible shit that can happen. And yeah, we'll build a giant pyramid just to test if we could actually do it.
No.
We haven't done
Nobody's
an
doing it.
accurate test. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said before, I do believe in other ways that this stuff was built. You do as well. But that's a different conspiracy that we can eventually get into. But it is crazy. I personally think there's more beneath the sand, and we'll never find out because I fucking hate sand, and I know that whoever had to dig these statues out probably felt the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so this
I
was
just keep
built
thinking of the
for.
movie The Mummy.
Oh yeah, well they just did. It's
Yeah.
just not the mummy that we know. It's
Right.
but the craziest thing about this statue is, like I said, it's mostly survived untouched. Now it has eroded. The nose is missing, so people were saying, "Oh, people destroyed that on purpose." I don't know if I believe that because, like I said, you and I have built things as teenagers or whatever. We know that if you build a nose on something, whether it's a snowman or whatever, know how good you built it, and somebody shoots the nose off, the rest of it collapses. Because you've created an erosion point, right? So I think that it just slowly eroded. And if you're as curious as me, you should look up what they believe the Sphinx actually looked like when it was wholly together. Um, it has like that crazy wide Egyptian headdress with like a hat that could make it even almost closer to 80 to 100 feet tall. That all have just eroded over time because it's got accurate drawings and depictions of what it looked like, and now we've just recreated it using technology.
That's crazy. Like, as tall as that thing is, or
Yeah,
fully put together, I mean,
yeah,
that's ridiculous.
yeah. It
That
makes me wonder what Egypt looked like before what it is now.
So my conspiracy with these giant statues is a little bit different than like your take on it. Still in the ballpark
Hmm.
of wondering how they got there. Mine's it's the petrified giants, as in like these
See,
were
I kind of,
living beings, and
yeah,
then
and
become
I've
stone, were
stumbled.
turned to stone. Like, and when it comes to the Sphinx, it's very hard to put that one.
Yeah,
If you have
because it's
a
not a person. Like if
hundred
you have a
foot
cat person running
Yeah, I
around.
was gonna say if you have 100 foot tall cat person
But
walking
I
around,
mean, like you can believe
it's gonna be documented somewhere though.
Well, I mean, we
That will
keep
be
talking about
documented.
shows dangling shit in front of our face. I mean, old nursery rhymes or bedtime stories of like Jack and the Beanstalk and all that. I mean, for years, hundreds of thousands of years, um, there's always been mention of giants. So I knew you were going to come across that. But what makes me scared is, like you said, all these other statues we mentioned are mostly people. But this one is kind of scary because then if you do believe, okay, let's say it is giants that are petrified. How many statues that we talk about today are gods? Then that gets you into that discussion of, okay, if we're going to believe that they are petrified giants and all this mention of gods, are gods just giants, or it brings up the whole discussion of whose god is right and wrong again.
Oh yeah, I mean you could go the religion route with it because there's plenty of statues of
Yeah.
angels and everything else, and not like little bitty angels,
I mean,
huge
Christ the
angels. I mean,
Redeemer down in Rio.
yep,
I mean,
that
that
one.
one's still a thing, but that's a
Well,
modern one.
then they got I've seen these statues that are in water, but they're chained. They're chained angels in the water. There's like a whole circle of them.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Dude, it is creepy. It's some art. Like the dude placed him there on purpose to show
Oh
or
yeah, like
symbolize
he
or
made the
whatever.
sculpture to put it in the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
Where they're
but
all chained from their back.
yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, that's weird.
Well,
But
even
you read
like that
into
one
it and
was a
it's like, okay.
publicity stunt. But could
Yeah.
you imagine being the first dude to stumble across shipwrecks and finding like somebody's mom that made a statue of herself, or dad made a statue of mom and they were transporting it back in, 12:30, and the ship sinks, and now they stumble across this shipwreck, and there's a statue of a person looking back at you, dude, I'd piss myself.
Right. Well, I was
That
about
brings
to
us back
say,
to the ocean. I do not like the
no, no,
ocean.
no, we're not going that route.
Yeah. Nope.
But could you imagine, once we're all dead, gone, wiped out as a civilization, whatever, and a new one starts, and they stumble upon those angels, those
Oh, dude.
statues that some artist
They'd be like,
put there during our
holy
lifetime, and
shit.
they're like, "Oh my
This is what
god!"
caused it.
I mean, that's one of those petrified things that the petrified giants that makes you think like how much of it could actually be real from biblical times, how
Right.
much of it goes into the religious part of it. But a
Well, and
lot
that's
of
why
it,
like it
for
comes up
me, I mean, you
because
get into the Greek gods though,
yeah,
and that's
that's
where
we're
it
still
gets
probably close to we're about 800 years still before that even. And those ones get even crazier because the next one I was going to lightly touch on cuz this one doesn't have as many like crazy stories. I mean, it's still crazy to see, but the Colossi of Memnon, this is also in Egypt, but this is near like Thebes or Luxor. Um, Pharaoh, and you mentioned the mummy, Amenhotep the third was the one who had these erected. Now, again, we get a little taller here because the height completely finished was believed to be around 60 to 70 feet, 18 to 21 meter, and weigh nearly 700 plus tons each. These ones are made out of sandstone. So the erosion on these is a lot further. Now, the thing that's crazy is you're like, oh, it's just like one statue, maybe two. No, there's six. And they're all in like a seated position with their hands on like their laps just above their knees. Um,
700 ton.
yeah,
How?
six of them.
I mean, and they're not being moved. Ain't
No.
no way. So they're built in place.
Yep. Yep. And that's what you were saying. Like they were carved out of these massive blocks of sandstone. And so the original meaning for these being built was not like the Sphinx for a funeral. This one was just to flex. This was a it's believed to be simply decorative, and it was just giant representations of the king guarding his mortuary temple and projecting the pharaoh's eternal power. So literally just flexing on everybody else. Like just like the Moai, they built them because they were cool.
Right. I mean, I don't. I don't know. Even the Maui with the huge head people. I mean, people statues. You just see the heads.
Right.
They had to have been building them for somebody, for some type of actual purpose.
Well, and that's the
I
thing.
and that's what these like. Now that one, yeah, just him flexing, whatever.
Well,
Other
there's
ones are
stories
built in
behind
like a
that.
memoriam though. For
Yeah, this one technically this is, right? So these were built around a walkway obviously. It's literally if you were to take two statues and then build like an archway like wall behind it. That's what they believe they were originally built to be like, and there was a square structure in the middle that was for his mortuary. So basically, yes, as like a viewing place for the people who could. But you mentioned these not really having a reason other than being a flex. Let me just mention something that kind of adds to our conspiracy of petrified giants, quote unquote, or having deeper like I don't want to say magic because it's always such a silly word, but like a spiritual magic presence because of these. Because the main thing that caused these to deteriorate as bad as they did was earthquakes and flooding. And then they also kind of took some stones from older monuments to go build newer ones, which I find kind of funny. But the craziest story that's ever come out of these statues is that ancient writers reported that one of the statues appeared to sing at sunrise after an earthquake damaged it. That's weird.
That is very weird. I'm
It's
also curious with flooding. How big were these floods?
that I don't know. I don't have that not documented, but detailed in my research here. But it's I would assume more so the earthquakes than the flooding. So I don't know. And then like if you look at them now, you're like, well, wait a minute. They said they're built out of one piece. They were the squares that you see cut into one of them is because, like I said, they had a ritual where they would take the old stones and move them to new monuments, building something new. So that's why it's cut into squares. But it is crazy. And then even that, the Romans actually repaired this at some point at around 193 to 211 CE. And after that happened, the sound from the singing statue stopped.
Really?
Yeah.
I always wonder too, what was the purpose of building everything so big and tall? Or is that just how those stones came? Like, hey, we had this huge
No,
stone, and
I
we're
think they would
going to
just
just
cut
make
this big
something out of
block.
this huge stone.
I think that's what it
Because,
was.
I mean, you you said we're going to save it for because we're going to do another episode on giant things.
I
But
think not just giant
you,
things. Egypt would be another huge one
oh,
for us.
dude, we could touch on the seven wonders of the world
That's
and
yeah. I would
you
love to
know,
do that.
every
Those
place.
are astounding.
I mean, but the giant trees.
Yeah.
Was everything just bigger back then? I
That's
mean,
what the thing is,
to get
dude. That's
into
why
like
the giant
biblical
talk
stuff
still
too, it makes
exists.
me wonder. My brain just went here, but like when Noah built the ark, was Noah building the ark out of
Well,
giant
not
trees?
just that too. David and Goliath. I mean, there's always, like I said, these mentions of giants for thousands of years, and we've never, as a society, ever been like, yeah, they probably existed. I mean, we found fucking bones, and we're just like, nah, these people were just freaks. I call bullshit. At some point, one of these was right on the things that they correlated together. Every type of nation, spirituality, ethnicity, culture, all have documented parts of giants. It's not like, oh, these giant people came from Norway. No, even Norwegians talk about giants. So eventually you'd have to find where the totem pole of who the tallest is that never mentions giants, but that doesn't happen. That's why the
You know,
giant talk
crazy
is so
enough,
crazy.
Americans aren't like, nope. We had the giants. We had the biggest giants actually, because
Yeah.
it's America. If we're
Right, right,
if
right,
we're
right.
gonna if we're
If
gonna
we're
have
gonna
the
do it,
same
we're gonna
thing
have the
as
best.
everybody else, we're gonna be the best at. Oh, well,
Exactly.
where were your giants? Where were your biggest giants at? Well, Texas, of course.
Yeah, right.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, bullshit. Even the Giants. No,
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
or New
we
York.
can deviate a
Well,
lot
okay.
on all
Why
of
is New
these,
York
but
named the Giants? Just kidding.
well, shut. We can deviate for minutes to hours on just Egypt and where we're at now. But to get us back where we were, the next statue that we've got that's kind of like, these aren't the only statues, but we tried to keep it to where it's like the most reputable and longest standing with the most research. The next one would be 447 to 438 BC, being the Athena Parthenos. Now, this is where we shift from Egypt to Greek. So, this Athena Parthenos is, you probably haven't seen very many pictures of it, but it's 38 to 39 feet tall. This is roughly like 12 meters. Now, this is where we switch from making it out of solely rock and we go to gold, ivory, and wood. I just want to know, where the hell did they get all the ivory? Because it's a lot.
That's like elephant tusk, right?
Well, I
Is
mean
that
that's like
ivory?
one of the places you can get it, yeah. But I mean there is like, I
Because they
guess
used to
like,
have mammoths.
yeah. I
So
mean
if you're
true.
killing a mammoth, those are huge tusks.
Yeah, but I mean I'm telling you, dude, this thing, you another one you don't think is crazy big until you see the picture of a man standing next to it. It's crazy.
Have you seen
Um,
AI photos of a man standing next to a mammoth?
no, no, no,
They're
no, not of a
massive.
mammoth. This Athena, dude, it's crazy. Um, because this one isn't like the others where you can still go and see it. This is gone. Um, and it got moved to Constantinople and got destroyed. We don't know when and we don't know how. So there's a lot of AI replicas of what it would look like, but I'm telling you, dude, it's crazy. So this one has its own like mystery behind it, just outside of it being a statue. But yeah,
What's
nobody
your
knows where
mystery?
it is.
What's your mystery?
Nobody knows what happened to it. It got moved to
Oh,
Constantinople and
I
got
got you.
destroyed, but we don't know why or
Like
how.
the like when the Library of Alexandria got burnt down.
Yeah, weird.
Had all that knowledge. Probably had actual writings of giants or something in there.
Yeah. This one's cool, I think, again, because it was another flex statue. It was the patron goddess of Athens. And the statue was just a flex on, we're rich. Look at all this gold, which, mind you, weighed about 1,200 kilograms. So, not just cheap gold. Um, but yeah, it got taken and destroyed, and now we can't see it. But that's not the only one that came from Greece. This next one, I guarantee you know, if you've ever watched Hercules from Disney. This is the first time I saw it, and then after that, I was like, man, it's still around. And then slowly I found out it wasn't. The Statue of Zeus.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Um, this one isn't as tall, but he's sitting. So how tall can a guy be? He was only 40 feet tall. Also made out of gold, ivory, and wood. Now we mentioned the seven wonders. This is one of them. So it is crazy. We have all this documentation of all these, but for some reason they got destroyed or were torn down or were ransacked. Whatever happened, it sucks because I would really think this would be cool to go and see in person.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to meet the people who built these because I I mean, it can't be the same person all the way through. But how many people had the same idea to make these
Well,
giant ass statues?
it's funny you say that because the Athena Parthenos and the statue of Zeus were built by the same sculptor named Phidias. So it
Really?
kind of makes the two, yep. And he made the one of Athena in 438. So that was his, first one that then landed him the job of making Zeus. It's just crazy.
No, that
But
part is nuts because I mean, if you look at like the seven wonders of the world and stuff, like you get the Petra, the city in Jordan,
yep.
that one that's built into the side of a mountain that you're like, what the hell? This thing's massive. Who built this?
Yeah, and why?
And that's one that they put in the movies too. I think that one's in Transformers,
Yes, it is. You
if
and
I am correct.
Transformers,
Yeah,
dude.
dude, I love Transformers. It's aliens and cars, man.
Yeah, I get it. But um
And Shia LaBeouf. He's so cool.
Yeah, Shiloh. You mean Shia?
Whatever.
But yeah, so the thing that was crazy about this statue is obviously it was in an ornate temple, had a long span. It survived for nearly a millennium. And then again, this one got moved to Constantinople. Don't know how. And then you want to guess how it got destroyed?
Earthquake.
Nope. You
Really?
mentioned something else being destroyed by it earlier. A fire.
Oh, the other.
Weird, huh?
Oh God. It's
Common
funny how
theme.
I was gonna say it's funny how when you want to get rid of something, it's a fire. I
Every
can't
time.
even say it's either this or that. It's always a fire, and then it's like,
Almost
oh, we don't
everything
really,
we've talked about has had a fire.
yeah, because you had the Great Chicago Fire that got rid of most of the World Fair stuff too.
Yep. Yep.
That's nuts.
I totally agree. And I think I don't know. It's thinking about these things kind of makes you wonder what the hell. Especially when we get to this next one.
Lay it on me.
By
What do
far
we
my
got?
favorite one. By far my favorite. Built in about 292 to 280 BCE. The Colossus of Rhodes.
Oh yeah.
Dude, this thing is crazy. The more you read about it too, it's crazier. They say that like its head would be on fire, the torch in its hand would be on fire, or at least releasing smoke and all this other stuff. But this thing obviously was built in the Rhodes. It depicted the god Helios, so like
Hmm.
the god of the sun, pretty much. The guy who built it was Chars of Lindos. Now this is why this one's my favorite. Roughly 100 to 112 feet tall, and it's described as spanning over an entrance of a bay. So to
Yeah,
literally enter the
because
town of Rhodes, you had to go through
you
his
know why
legs.
they put it in the bay.
Why?
I don't want. Yeah, it was Demetrius, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Of Macedon, but he defended Rhodes, right? Or did
yep.
he? Yeah.
No, he was the one that committed the siege, and they withstood it. Now here's what's crazy, dude. This thing was roughly 33 meters, so like I said, 110 feet roughly.
Massive.
This is comparable to the height of the Statue of Liberty from ground to torch. But the difference is they were built out of totally different materials and thousands of years apart. But it only lasted for 50 to 60 years. An earthquake broke the statue at its knees and brought it down. You want to guess who said, "Hey, we'll help you rebuild it"?
Who's that?
Egyptians.
Really?
The masters of statues, dude. But
Yeah.
they said, "No, we're not going to do that." After they consulted the Oracle of Delphi, um, believing the destruction meant they had offended Helios. So literally, some woman who thinks that she can talk to the gods said, "No, don't build it because it fell because you guys pissed off Helios."
Well, I mean, they used to say that you'd piss off. I mean, like the Native Americans, they have the sun god. You know,
Yeah.
if it's dark and cloudy and rainy, well, you pissed off the sun god.
Yep. Well, and that's the crazy thing is like you would think, okay, well, if they did that, then they would get rid of the statue, right? No, that shit laid there for years, centuries. And people would literally go just to see the destroyed statue.
I mean, what's left of the destroyed statue to see? Just a bunch of rubble or what?
No, I mean, it fell. It didn't like disintegrate. I would imagine kind of like it broke at the knees and just kind of fell over. Probably some pieces broke off, but not much because one of the elders is even documented as having said that the fallen thumb was so enormous that few people could wrap their arms all the way around it. So imagine a statue so big that you could not bear hug it and touch your tips of your fingers on the other side.
Just the thumb, too. Not like
Yeah.
the statue, just the thumb.
Yeah. It's nuts. And then, it's just I don't know. And then they just left it there. They didn't destroy it, which to me is wild. Again, if I pissed off God and he brought down my giant statue I just built that only lasted for, grandpa built it and now I'm looking at it in pieces, I would be like, all right, we need to get rid of everything. This statue was never here.
I mean, I question, though, how big was Helios for them to make a 110-foot statue of him?
See, and that's what I always kind of thought was weird because you only ever hear, different religion, I guess, or different deity, but you only hear like the three big ones in that area at one time. Poseidon, Hades, Zeus, um, or whatever
Hercules?
the Greek or Roman version was. But um, I don't know. Must have been pretty big. Like if you
I
look at
mean,
the
every
movie
time
Troy,
well, you look at the way that the Greek gods are depicted in all the movies. You're about to say Troy, but they're just human sized.
yep.
I
But
mean, until you get to the Titans. But the
yeah,
Titans were completely different from the gods.
I don't know enough about Helios to really say anything, but I imagine they think he's pretty tall or giant just because he was considered a titan. Um but they probably imagine him being very big because he was the sun. But now we're getting into, some smaller statues with less um documentation in the 4th or 5th century of CE, which I believe is still um yeah, CE would be, so this would be about 3 or 400, I believe, maybe 4 to 5. No, it is 3 to 4. I apologize. Let me restart. So in about 300, 400 now, um, like I said, we have all these depictions of different religions with giants. Well, now the pagan ones disappear in 3 to 400. And this happens after we've kind of said no more Zeus, no more Titans, no more that. And Christians start to enter the chat. So now the Roman Empire is becoming Christian. So all these pagan temples get closed, or they get damaged, or they get converted. Number one, biggest issue for all of these giant things that no longer exist was because we said we got to get rid of it. Let's start over, rip that page out. We'll start back over because um, at the same amount of time, the Library of Alexandria gets destroyed during this era. And this is because they want to get rid of it. So, I don't know. We'll never know because when Christianity started, all these pagan ideals were deemed to let's get rid of it and destroy it now.
Well, that's odd. But we're not getting into that.
Nope. So, that's where all of these ancient ones disappear. So now, in the 5th and 6th century, giant Buddhas of Bamiyan are created. Now, these are located in Bamiyan Valley, Afghanistan, and they're roughly dated to the 6th century. Um, there's a set of them. So the smaller one is 125 feet. The bigger ones are 180 feet. So now we're scaling up. And I mean, these ones are crazy. You already talked about stuff being built into the like walls of mountains and stuff. That's where these came from. Now, these ones roughly last about 1500 years. If the 2001 Taliban regime never was a thing, these would probably still be standing because that's when they were destroyed with explosives. The Taliban went in and literally blew up these Buddhas.
Why?
Just because that was the Islamic, takeover for them. So the same thing that happened with these others, like the Greeks and the Romans, where Christianity came in, Islamic ideals came in, and they said, we got to get rid of these monks. Or Buddhas, I'm sorry. And it's crazy, dude. These
And you said they were
survived
how tall?
180 at the biggest and 125 at the lowest.
My God.
Yeah, dude. It's nuts.
And
Absolutely
they
nuts.
just wanted to get rid of them. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yep. And I mean, somebody spent hundreds of years building these.
I was gonna say someone spent literally, like, people say, "Oh, I spent a lifetime doing."
Yeah.
Someone spent a fucking lifetime on one of those.
Yep. And they said nobody will ever mess with these, dude. We'll be able to use these for forever. We'll be remembered for everything. Bullshit. Not anymore.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, erased with time,
yeah.
never to
And
be
it's
found
nuts.
either. It's not like things that have been lost in time, but then we found or whatnot. You
No,
know,
this is the opposite.
this
We knew
is
them. They were
going.
there before we knew how to write that they were there. And then now it's all gone. But that leaves me with the question of why are we not doing these still? Like, we have the Statue of Liberty. Lame. I want a new one. These guys are out there building shit out of rocks and these giant granite and everything like that. I want something crazy. Christ the Redeemer is a good starting point.
That thing is
Because,
massive.
exactly. It's it's good inspiration for a starting point, and I think that we can only go up from there. And I want to know why we aren't.
Yeah, I mean, when was Christ the Redeemer built?
The statue was built in 1922 or 1931, and this one is only 98 feet.
Christ the Redeemer's only 98 feet.
Yep. I mean, we say that like it's nothing, but I mean, it's
No, but
huge.
like when you look at it, you know,
Yep.
you're like, oh my God, it's huge. You see it in the movies and everything.
Yep.
Massive. It's this larger than life statue. And then you think of these Buddhas that were 120 feet at the smallest,
That's what I'm saying, dude. It,
and
it
they
is
were,
crazy.
you know, destroyed.
Well, you want to talk about
180 feet, man.
right.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, we're mentioning that, right? So if you want a modern day thing to look at, and this one is also absolutely crazy. I mentioned, I want modern ones. I'm saying, I think for the U.S. we need to catch up because in 2018, India built the Statue of Unity. That stands at 182 meters, 597 feet tall.
Yeah, with outreaching arms. Have you
No,
seen a
that's
picture of that
this
one?
one is it's a guy that's just literally standing. I mean,
Mm.
it's kind of a like for me, it's almost like scarier to look at because it looks like a sad dude. It is crazy. Like if that one's not tall enough for you, then you have the Spring Temple Buddha in China. That was in 2008. It's a Buddhist monument. That one's 420 feet, but that includes this massive pedestal. The statue is actually far smaller than that. And then there's one in Myanmar that I'm not going to try to say the name because that would be disrespectful. But it's 380 feet, also built in 2008. Statue of Belief in India, 2022, 370. You got the Ushiku Daibatsu in Japan, that's 394, built in 93. Another one in China at 354. Another one in Thailand, that's a Buddha, 302. Another one in Japan, 290. Statue of Liberty, with the pedestal and everything, comes out to 305. That was built way back in 1886. So the U.S. has nothing to stand on here, literally. And then, we've got all these Buddhist statues, but we have nothing else. Give me a crazy statue in the U.S., and I promise you I'll be there at least every year just to see it.
I'm trying to think of like the craziest statue that America has besides the
We
Statue
don't
of
have
Liberty.
anything,
Yeah.
and it's pretty lame.
I mean, you got cool ass Mount Rushmore. I
Yeah,
mean,
but that's not
well,
technically a statue.
you got the Lincoln Memorial. I don't know how big he is.
The
He's pretty
Washington
big though.
Monument, I guess, would be rather large, but I don't count that one because like that's such a lame basis for a statue. You know what I mean?
I guess it's like pyramids.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right, it is. But I don't know, man. It's a shame that we gave up on building statues.
I agree. I think we should go out and find a huge stone and just start chiseling away and see what
Yeah,
comes up.
right. One of us will die. Chip off a piece and it'll kill us. But no, I do think that it's again just like with the Chicago episode Kane and I did. It's you know we have all of this stuff of past that is just awe-inspiring and very cool and things that we don't do nowadays, and it's just like, why? I think it'd be cool to bring back statues. I think we should do that again.
I completely agree. But what type of statues? I mean, are you gonna
I
go
don't care,
back to
dude. Bring
the
me a
like the
statue of
Easter Islands?
Shrek. I don't care.
You gonna do an Easter Island one?
Yeah, like have
Big
it be a
massive
competition.
ones?
Yeah, I don't know. I do think it needs to be of some kind of significance. So I guess that's where the biggest issue is. Like a lot of these other huge statues are either like Buddhist or like country saving people, where I don't think you could do that in the US. Not with today's political climate. We could
No.
literally say build a statue of Shrek and somebody would give 100 reasons.
Yeah, they'd be upset about it.
Yeah. So I don't know. But this was our first giant talk, right? Um like we talked about, Noah mentioned, there's a lot of things we could get into about giant trees that people have said, giants themselves, um, all kinds of things. So if you guys like giants, let us know on this episode. Give us a like, give us comments. I haven't seen hardly any comments come through anymore, and it just helps us. Helps us
We're getting
kind of,
lonely. We want
yeah.
to talk to you guys.
We're talking to the walls and each
Yeah,
other.
we're like, it's starting to feel like we're talking at you.
This has been Blazed and Confused, and we hope you like giants.